are you like this? Welcome to Books and Bullshit, where Zachary is a toddler and Layla and I carry the show all the time.
Whoa. Since when do you do the intros, lady?
Since you stopped doing them completely.
I forgot.
You've completely shit the bed at least 3 out of 10 episodes.
I forgot last time, and I was ready to do it this time.
Until you just decided to make fart noises into the microphone like a fucking toddler.
Charlie, what are you doing? Get off the table. Your name isn't Portia. What? Mercedes?
Oh.
Glitter?
Cricket.
All right. So we're here today to talk to you guys about personal hygiene.
Or as we like to call it, guilty pleasure reads.
I thought you said guilty pleasures.
Well, we're going to go with guilty pleasures so that we can embrace both the books and the bullshit.
Okay, I was going to say, because if it's just guilty pleasure reads, I'm out. What, Charles? Now's not the time to whine.
Seriously, bro. He's just giving Zach, the most,
Give me some hungry eyes, Charlie. I get it. If you come over here, I will pet you.
Go on. Go on, then.
Well, bye.
All right, so guilty pleasures and moving on. I don't even know where to start.
It's not so fucking easy.
Not when we're basically all just sitting here talking to the dog.
Oh, you made him sad.
We should just do a pet podcast. Pets and porn.
No.
That doesn't work.
No. I'm gonna say that's a big no for me, dog.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say no. We're not doing pets and porn because is it pets and porn? Is it pets in porn? No fucking way.
It's just videos of animal husbandry.
Wait, no, because that's borderline pornographic, depending upon the state you're in.
Borderline? Wait, what do you mean it's borderline pornographic based on the states you're in?
Some
Pretty
states
sure it's always porn if you involve animals.
If it's animal husbandry, wait, are you fucking the animal, or is it like we're watching animals?
No,
fuck
that's
each
called
other?
Bestiality. That's a whole other ballgame.
So how is it porn? Do animals watch husbandry film and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna pound that poodle? I don't know.
I guess it depends on whether it's another poodle or not.
What if it's like horse on poodle?
And I'm sorry. Well, no. No. That's a crime. That becomes a snuff film.
All I'm trying to say is, it's husbandry films are not porn unless you're in Virginia or something where that's like a FAP thing. Because
did you say a fat thing?
FAP. F-A-P.
So now you're saying that Virginians are into bestiality and being fat.
Yes.
Wow.
So
please write your angry hate mail to Zachary at booksandbullshit@gmail.com or whatever it is.
P.O. Box 6969, San Diego, California. I used to know the P.O. Box to America's Funniest Home Videos. All sorts of hate
there
mail.
used to be this commercial that would come on in the middle of the night, and they were based out of Pueblo, Colorado, and for the longest time I knew their address because it was just like,
what was the company?
The Lifetime books. Do you remember those?
Yes, I do.
It was like the Lifetime, and they always had mysteries of the unexplained. And they'd always have these really lame commercials and be like, read the book. I was like, then stop fucking talking to me about it, you bitch.
You're giving away too much. It's like when movies put all the good horror scenes in the fucking trailer, and then when you watch the movie, it ruins it for me because I remember that shit. I have a ridiculously crazy, stupid memory with movies, and I remember that shit, and I'll know in my head, no, that one scene's going to be the twist at the end because it was in the trailer, and we got 10 minutes left of this movie, and it hasn't happened yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll ruin surprise deaths for me and shit because I'm like, no, that happens.
But in this commercial, you'd always be like, would you like to know how the pyramids were built? The guy would be like, well, yes, I would be. And she'd be like, well, read the book. And he'd be like, you fucking brought it up.
I thought you were going to tell me. I'm not sitting here volunteering to read shit. I figured you were just going to tell me. So, anyway.
Sorry.
The fuck were we talking about? Oh, yeah.
Guilty pleasures and porn.
Husbandry videos would not be pornographic because animals don't watch that to get themselves in the mood to fuck other animals. Right?
I don't know. I'm not also an
elf?
A sex therapist for fucking animals?
Do animals have a sex therapist?
I don't know, but I'm definitely not one.
That would be a cushy gig.
Like a pet psychic.
Yeah, where the hell's that shit on Animal Planet? well, Mittens. I think that Mr. Kiddums does not like it when you lick his balls because he doesn't have them anymore, and it's really rude.
You're just bringing up past trauma, and it just really takes him out of the mood.
You have a rough tongue, and we're getting way into this.
You're getting way into this.
Stopping talking when I realize nobody else is laughing or talking, and I'm just walking through pet porn.
Because my dog is giving me the saddest fucking look ever.
Well, he's been giving me the saddest look ever, too, but you don't see me falling for that bullshit.
It's because you have no soul.
I don't. Hey, Loki.
Baby.
Or one of us has to talk about something.
No, you said guilty pleasures. I think we've covered that.
Okay, so guilty pleasures. So, other than sticking your dick into a jar of peanut butter at work and watching other people eat it,
Did you say he's stuck?
He's stuck. Will you get... There we go. Never mind.
his nail got... Okay, Libby, that's cool too. His nail got stuck in the loop of his collar.
Aww.
I thought he was going to hurt himself.
Aww.
All right, so guilty pleasure books. I'm going to be 100%. We've talked about me violently beating it to Nora Roberts.
Violently?
Many, many times. Well, sometimes I really got to give it to me when I've been bad, you know? So...
The book? You just smack yourself with the book while you're jerking off?
Yeah. I call it slam. That's slam poetry, right? That's what that is. But so I feel like there's no... So Martina, tell me about some guilty pleasure books.
I mean, like I said, I don't feel guilty about anything I read, so this is a little harder for me, because I'll tell you all the weird, sick, fucking weird-ass shit I read about. I don't care.
Let's hear that shit.
But I'm not guilty, so I'll just keep that to myself. No, I'm just kidding. No, I read a lot of fan fiction.
We know that, and because you make me read half that shit out loud.
Right, but for a long time, like, saying you read fan fiction was just like... Everybody treated you like a fucking leper. Like, that's not real books. You know?
Let's see you fucking write it.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually some fucking amazing writers out there that write fan fiction. My sister Tammy, who is, I would say in her 60s now, has been writing, I am too old to remember this show, so you people will probably never heard of the show. But there was a show in the 70s about EMTs called Emergency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she is a diehard fan, and she writes emergency fan fiction. And she has a website that gets like 1 million hits a month. Yeah. Like, hardcore. Like, people... And she's a great writer, and I always was like, why don't you just write your own fucking book? And she's just like, no, it's not. I just like writing about these characters. I don't want to write about anybody else's. I'm like, okay.
I mean, it's not like she's hurting here.
Hmm?
So it's not like she's hurting. She's pretty successful writing her fan fiction.
She doesn't make any money. You can't make money off fan fiction.
Oh, that's stupid. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, so she just does it for the love of people being like, oh my god, I can't wait for you.
Well, she found a way to put like adverts or sponsorships in her shit.
Can't do it. They can shut you down for that shit. You are not allowed to make any profits off of fan fiction.
Fuck that.
I mean, but people do it because, I mean, it's actually, I think it's a great teaching tool. Like, if you are somebody who wants to be a writer but don't necessarily know where to start, but you have, like, such a huge love of a character that you feel like you know, like, all the nuances and all the ins and outs, or you have, like, a lot of times with television shows, if it's not, like, imperative to the plot, they cut the scene, you know what I mean? So, like, a lot of the fluffy stuff that people want to read about always gets cut, especially when you have, like, ensemble shows where there's, like, 8 main characters. Like, we don't have time for these 2 characters to, like, eat breakfast or whatever, you know?
They kind of trim that fat, so to speak, to lean it up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if you want to, like, if you want those scenes, you got to write them yourself, you know? hence slash fiction was born, and people started writing about male-male romances in fan fiction because they couldn't get them on regular television. So, and that was starting with, pretty sure, Star Trek was the first, with Spock and Captain Kirk. The first slash fan fiction website.
Okay.
God, why didn't I look up fucking Spock
Did
and
you
Kirk
give him
porn?
that,
Damn it.
Did he, like, poop?
The shocker? I don't think so. I like the...
What's that Vulcan thing that they're like, that V, and they're like, whoop, whoop.
Live long and prosper?
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, he's only got one fucking hole, unless he's an alien of some kind. I mean, I don't know much about volcanology.
He like penguin flippers him, right? Like he goes like that, and he's like, is that
his balls?
Yeah,
he's like fiddling with.
He's like,
wait, wouldn't that be like this? What position is he in?
Mr. Spock, wiggle the fingers. Different, like I don't know, and then she's just like, oh,
is this like doggy style? Like where, what?
I don't know, and then he
I
just
need
like
some kind of anatomy lesson because where
he just like gets it. I don't know.
Was he not Spider-Man?
Maybe that was like
there's a lot of wrist action going on here that I don't
maybe
think
that was like
would work well.
That was like a
porn.
half-ass like tossed salad. Like Shatner didn't know what that was, so he was just like whoop. Like I don't. I don't know.
I don't know what that gesture has to do with rimming.
No, he was like tossing the balls, right? Like he thought like
okay, that's not what tossing the salad means.
I know that, but that's what I'm saying. Is that's what they thought. It was in the 70s. They didn't know what a tossed salad was. They were sitting there batting balls like a cat in a fucking play toy. I don't know.
Clearly, you don't know.
They're just batting that shit around like a. Like never mind. I'm not gonna say that joke because we might get shut down.
I'm so intrigued.
Nope.
Was it like a joke about beating somebody?
Nope.
Just tell us after.
Yeah,
yep.
I guess so.
Oh, you never told us about the thing. Oh, yes, you did. Never mind.
No, I didn't.
What?
No, I didn't tell you the story.
Oh, yeah, you were supposed to explain some shit to me, the two of you.
Oh, yeah, but I can't explain it on the air. People
oh, yeah.
people are literally going to throw up.
You're like, oh, yeah, I was supposed to. Oh, man, can you imagine Minnesota porn? Like, oh, yeah. That's what I like.
There's gotta be some kind of Fargo parody somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. I think that's the wrong hole there.
Let me get past you.
Let me just get right up in there. Oh yeah.
Now imagine that, but with like an office space. It's like, I'ma need you to.
Yeah, I'ma need you to not do that. Like, oh yeah, harder. Oh yeah.
Okay, wow, you just went straight up fucking Boston.
I mean, yeah, dude. Every once in a while, I'll drop like a weird main thing, like wicked dude.
In bed? Oh my god, that would be so mortifying.
There's like lots of weird shit I try to do in bed that just doesn't fly with the curtains.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Just sex in general, sometimes I imagine probably doesn't fly very well.
It's vigorous.
Okay.
If I was a power tool, some might say I was a jackhammer.
You said earlier you were a pillow princess.
I didn't say it was me. Maybe the curtains is the vigorous one. Sometimes I'm nervous it's going to start a brush fire. Or a bush fire.
I swear to God, we started out with the best of intentions. I swear.
Always.
I
can't help it.
I'm so sorry. I don't. If you're tuning in for books at this point, just don't. Just don't. We can't change it. We've already got the branding, so you're just gonna have to deal with it.
Don't you touch that dial. Wait. Touch it.
Harder.
Turn it slowly. Martina, let's not do this.
It just reminds me of that. Did you ever see that episode of Friends where they're trying to teach Chandler how to get a girl off, but they're using like a diagram, and she's written it out, and she's like, so you start off with like a little 1, and then move to like 2 or maybe a 4. And he's like, 4? That's something girls like? And she's like, oh yeah. And then she's like getting slowly more into it. She's like, and a 1. and a 1, and then a 4, and a 2, and a 2. And he's just like, what the fuck is happening?
I've never seen an episode of Friends.
I know, you keep fucking telling me that, and I keep fucking forgetting it because I just cannot even conceive of such a thing.
I mean, do we want to watch Friends, Curtains?
I gotta tell you, it still stands up if you can get past the casual racism and homophobia, much like Scrubs.
Chocolate bear. All right, guilty pleasure reads. Jesus Christ.
So mine is fan fiction, but I don't really feel guilty about it. Though some of the stuff is pretty fucking shady, and if I had a soul, I probably should feel guilty about
I will say that one that I actually hear a lot that's a guilty pleasure read. Man, I'm yawning again. That it's funny because you think like it's porny or something. I actually hear a lot that people are like Twilight.
Yeah, I think because we shame people about books they like.
Which is wrong.
Even
unless
though...
it's Twilight.
I like Twilight. I liked it. I don't know why I liked it. Like, honestly, if somebody had told me that somebody had spelled those pages, like, I would believe it. Because I stood there and I read, like, the first 2 or 3 chapters just standing in the aisle. And I was just like, it's not that it's necessarily well written, but there's just something about it that's just riveting. So kudos to Stephanie Myers and whatever crossroads demon she made her deal
tap the
with.
back of his head because he's just licking the couch. And never mind, don't touch him.
And all this time you thought he was deaf, but it's been a ruse.
That little motherfucker. When we adopted the dog and they're like, he's deaf, they gave us a pamphlet that was how to tell if your dog's deaf. And so I'm sitting there, day one at the house. He's sleeping on the floor, and I'm standing over him with pots and pans. Like, ting, ting, ting. Ah! Nothing.
Like, when they thought that you might think they were lying? Like, your dog's deaf. Here's a pamphlet. You were going to be home like, I'll show them my dog's not deaf.
That's exactly what happened.
I forgot who I was dealing with. I'm sorry. But back to the guilty pleasure. Steering back onto the highway. But I don't. Twilight was definitely not. I don't want to say it's badly written because I think it's not that it was badly written. There's a lot of adverbs. And they always try to tell us, like, when we're, like, learning to write, like, kill the adverbs. Like, you know, use a better word and get rid of the ly words, you know? And so that's just kind of been ingrained into our heads. But the truth is if a story is compelling enough, people will overlook almost any kind of writing.
Yeah.
Like, if they just keep reading, like, it's really just writers themselves who make these rules because... in the grand scheme of things, it does make the writing better, but there's always exceptions to every rule. So I don't necessarily want to say Twilight was a bad book, but I do think it is a guilty pleasure read for some people because we shame people about the books they like. And I am guilty of this, and everybody who knows me well knows what book I'm talking about, but I shall not name it here. Because I'm fairly certain at least 5 or 6 other people will when I get to the audience comments. But
look one up.
You're gonna look up a guilty pleasure?
Well,
Zach's like, I don't read, so let me see what people who read think is guilty.
No. So like I like, and it literally popped into my head. I like because they're cute.
And by popped into his head, he means he literally Googled it.
No, it's legit. And I can even give you the picture, and then you can read a synopsis. I'll tell you what it's about. But like middle grade books, I don't know what it is about them. Even as an adult, like one popped in my head is 20,000 Baseball Cards Under the Sea. Where follows this kid who befriends, and it's a short little book, and really simple. Every page has an illustration on it, kind of deal. And it follows this kid who befriends this eccentric inventor who builds all this crazy shit, and he just built this little submarine, and they go down underneath the lake to the bottom of the lake, and they go to this little room that he built. You open it up, and he's got all his collections and treasures in there, and there's all these old baseball cards that the kid ends up selling for like a shitload of money, and it's just cute stories. I don't know what it is, but just middle grade books. I think it's because they're just so simple and cute, and I don't know, like.
I mean, I still read young adult books because of this, like, I don't know, it's like a nostalgia factor.
Maybe that's it, like, because we actually have a copy of a book called The K that I really liked. I think it's mentioned before, a book called My Side of the Mountain, which was cool. Just, I don't know, it's just, like, middle grade books I really like, and I'll still pick them up and read them today.
I like my old school young adult books, like Christopher Pike and Richie
Hatchet.
Tankersley Cusick and fucking obviously R.L. Stine. Like, I don't know. And again, that's probably a little bit of nostalgia, but I think there was just something. It was new back then, and nowadays I don't feel like young adult books are really young adult books. Like,
I think it's just right now.
and that's not a slam on young adult. Obviously, we both write them. It's that I think as our audience matured, like, you know, the young adults are very much more mature than they were, or at least they were writing.
New
more
adult,
mature.
middle grade, children's. It's funny because all those genres, right? They are named after the age group that reads them generally, except young adult. Young adult is now only classified as if your characters are basically under 18, like they're
Right, and that's because people wanted to be able to write porn involving their characters.
And essentially, young adult is the average reader of something. Young adult is upper 20s to mid 30s is the average reader of young adult.
My readers, I would say, I have 1,100 people in my group, and I would say probably 7 or 8 of them are under the age of 18, and the majority of them are in their 30s to 50s.
See, that's like the inside of 20,000 baseball cards under the sea. Like, it's
wow,
just
that's
a cute,
some straight up old school.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's just cute.
Yeah, no, But I remember the first young adult, and it's funny because the first young adult book I read, I was probably 12 or 13 years old, or maybe I was younger, but I just, for some reason, I want to say I was like 12. I was already reading the most inappropriate shit. Like, I was already reading Stephen King. I was already reading Dean Koontz. I was already reading bodice rippers and stuff. So then when my grandmother took me to the store, and my God love her, my fucking crazy as a fucking just Mad Hatter grandmother, took me to a bookstore in Boston, was just like, get anything you want. And I was like, when you say anything I want, you mean like buy one book that I want? She's like, buy as many as you want. Bitch, you don't gotta tell me twice. I grabbed a basket and I probably put 15 to 16 books. Anything with a bright cover, I was like, yep, that's for me. And I walked up to that thing with all those books and she was like, okay, put them on the counter. God, I fucking miss my grandmother. She was crazy.
And my grandmother used to do the same shit, actually.
Yeah.
She was pretty much,
my grandmother took me out to dinner for every meal. I stayed there the whole summer. We would go sometimes see 2 movies a day. We would go eat out every meal. We would just, and she was nuts, and she was old, and she would have us out walking to Dunkin' Donuts at 12 at night. Like, let's go get donuts. Just toddle off. And my grandmother was 4'10" on a good day, and she was kind of chunky, and she was like a weeble wobble. So she would just like, but she never fell down. But she would just be like an Oompa Loompa, just So we were definitely a moving target because it was a small child and a very fragile, sort of like off balance old lady. They could have just knocked her over and stolen me in a hot minute. I was kind of a pudgy kid, so they had to work a little harder than I did. But still, they could have easily gotten me if they wanted me. Maybe my fat was a good defense mechanism. Not sure. Still works for me for today. But she just took me and she brought me all of these books, and the first one I ever read was called Weekend, and it was like this girl goes to a house party that's supposed to last the whole weekend, and her friend's throwing it, and the guy she likes is there, obviously, because that's just how it all rolled back in the day. There's just the one guy and the girl, and then it turns out, like, after they get there, they all get drugged, and they wake up and they're all hanging in this room, and the person is trying to figure out who poisoned her sister and caused her to go into kidney failure. And so what starts out is like, it got dark, but it was always still this sort of, you knew everything was gonna be okay. And if you liked the mystery part of it, you were like a R.L. Stine, a kind of fan, or a Christopher Pike fan, if you like that paranormal. But then you had like the girls who wanted to read like the Sweet Valley High stuff. Or
do you remember Animorphs?
I remember the name, but I don't think I ever.
There's a series of books similar to R.L. Stine's the Goosebumps series, just as big, and it was like kids that could morph into fucking animals.
I do sort of.
It's
remember
the covers.
that.
It's like a picture of a kid, and then slowly fades up into an animal.
Yeah. No, I do remember this. But what I was thinking of is like there was like a girl who used to write, like contemporary YA. And so that's the only place you would ever find like girls who would actually be having sex with anybody. And it was always like a cautionary tale. Like, you fall for the guy, you have sex with the guy, suddenly the guy turns into a demon. Much like Buffy, only not as in the literal sense. So it's... Are you okay? Aww. He's... Okay. Oh, I feel that on a deep spiritual level there, Livy. But yeah, so there was never any swearing, really. There was never any sex in the books, except, like I said, in these kind of like cautionary tale YA, like contemporary romancy type books. The only exception I ever found, and dear God, you want to talk a book that traumatized the shit out of me, Go Ask Alice, written by Anonymous. And we were forced to read that in high school. And that is just absolutely, even talking about it makes my stomach feel funny. Because it's about this girl who just falls into the wrong crowd. She gets involved with drugs. And the whole thing is like told from her, like her diary sort of. And it's just like watching her fall down this rabbit hole of drugs. And then like she finally gets clean. And then her friend basically doses her to get her to come back into the scene, and she dies. And it's like her mom released her diary as like a cautionary tale kind of thing. But one, nobody ever found out who the actual author of this book was, which makes it even more of sort of like a weird kind of urban legend thing. But two, it was just so... Any book where the main character almost gets what they want, and then it sort of just gets slapped out of their hand at the final moment, just kills me in every conceivable way. So I'm a sucker in that respect. But yeah, I'm sure people out there remember Go Ask Alice. And there's a whole series of books now that are in that vein, but...
1971 is when it was released.
No, I'm telling you, it... And I had to read it in high school, so you're talking like 1990. So, I mean, even 20 years later, they were still reading it in schools. It was just... But yeah, that one had a little bit of sex in it, but only told from like a standpoint of like, yeah, it happened. This is what, like, and she was so fucked up when it happened, like, so she didn't really remember much. But it just, nowadays, fucking literally anything goes in YA. Well, anything. Like, you can get away with anything. And it's like, and I mean, even most dialogue for YA books is not like YA. But kids don't talk like young adults anymore, you know what I mean? Teenagers talk like adults now. Some teenagers talk more sophisticated than the adults I know, like Zach.
Hey,
just saying.
I'm looking up stories. Hang on.
He's looking for visual aids.
Shut up, bitch. No, just talking about old like nostalgic books and stuff. Maybe like, yeah. I remember when I read that story, and so I'm just googling a bunch of them.
They have a podcast of like people who read like or just talk about the old 90s like YA books, like, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of the podcast, but it's got like this super cool, looks like an old school R.L. Stine book cover, and it's just a podcast of people who like reread the old 90s books and then talk about their plot points and stuff. Yeah, I was like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Me going through the list of every podcast, I'm like, oh fuck, why didn't I think of that? I could have been great. Me with My Favorite Murder, like, god damn it.
Right? All those good ideas. She's like, son of a bitch.
Exactly. Anything you think of, somebody else has already done it, and probably better.
Bunch of hoe bags. Not My Favorite Murder, just in general.
No, you guys are awesome. If you ever want to pick us up as producers.
Right.
It's exactly right. It's the name of their company. I'm trying to think of like the last book I read that would be like,
you know what I miss?
Guilty
and that's
pleasure.
one of the other things that I was just looking up. Like old like elementary and middle and even high school English textbooks that were just filled with short stories that we would all read in classes and shit.
Yes, and some of them were just like literally like the side of a page.
I miss that shit.
I used to just flip through my textbook and read those stories while the teacher was just droning on in the front. I would just be flipping through, reading whatever I could get to. It was like, they had some great fucking allegories in those. Like, yes. Yeah, they were all allegories, but they were all great. It's like,
Hogwarts. The Aesop's Fables, that's what those
now
are.
we're just being nostalgic. We're not even
I
talking
know,
about
we're not
guilty
even
reasons.
talking about like guilty.
We don't feel guilty about this shit.
Nope.
We just don't have anything. Okay, so non-reading. Like, what kind of guilty pleasures, non-pornographic, can you think of? Like, that you...
There's a lot of them. I mean, like, I like trash television.
See, like that. Like, I'm not like a real, like... I'm not a reality TV person. So, like, but I feel like some people use that, like that's, like, their guilty pleasure.
I will say a big guilty pleasure of mine that's a huge problem, and I gotta definitely always watch it, is I like trash food. I was cracking the joke with Layla the other day. When Layla goes out of town for training with the crime lab and everything, I have a standard thing that I do, is I go get sodas, and then I buy the big 40-count bags of pizza rolls. And I will eat a 40-count bag of pizza rolls in a sitting.
Yeah, okay. So, this is not me, this is my coworker. But let me tell you something. Now, my coworker looks like she's an Instagram model. She is insanely drop-dead gorgeous, completely flawless, works out 2 hours a day.
So we hate her, right?
No, I love her. She's sweet. But
All right,
let me tell you, and I'll tell you why you don't hate her. Because her husband is a firefighter. So that means he's gone for 24 hours. And on those nights, that girl eats like a goddamn velociraptor. She will go to the store and she will... Now, one, she's a total foodie. But, like, so she will go and she will get those giant Publix popcorn sleeves. You know, the big thing full of popcorn. It's like 2 feet.
Yep.
She'll eat a whole one of those in one sitting. She will then make jalapeno poppers from scratch, load them up with bacon and cheese, eat all of them herself, and then she will move on. Sometimes she adds jam, she says, like some sort of like marmalade. Then she will move on to whatever her next course is. This girl will eat for hours while she watches whatever show she can find that her husband doesn't want to watch. And she just fucking
See, that makes me
eats
hate her
and
more.
eats.
Because
I
if
know,
I
right?
look at a cookie, I gain 10 pounds.
Well, yeah, but you have to understand, she's a weightlifter and she works out 2 hours a day. Like,
I used to.
she's...
And I still would gain 20 pounds looking at
She's
a cookie.
also one of those people who was underweight. Do you know what I mean? Like when she talks about like her former life, like she's like, oh, now I weigh 145 pounds, and you would never know it because it's like all muscle. But like, she was always like underweight, like she was scrawny, she was too skinny, kind of thing. So like for her, like being 145 pounds is like, but for the rest of us,
I came
145 pounds is a goal.
I came out bigger than 145 pounds.
My God, your mother must have just really... No wonder your mother likes her wine.
She's still trying to get the hell out of that pain.
She's still going through the flashbacks. She's got She's got VTSD. Oh, come on, that was fucking funny.
It was funny. I laughed.
So, I'm trying to think. I guess my guilty pleasure television stuff has to do with the fact that I'm obsessed with all things teen driven, like the Vampire Diaries, any any show where like Teen Wolf, any Riverdale, anything where it's like teenagers are the main like whatever characters, Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl. I'm obsessed with these shows. I don't know
teen
why.
dramas, Layla is too.
Yeah.
Every
like,
one of those shows she would watch. She would
Yeah.
binge watch.
I've already
those
watched all of those.
She's like, shut up. You don't even fucking know.
See, with me with that, like fucking cooking shows while eating junk food.
See, I can't watch food porn unless I'm eating because then I just get really hot.
Oh no, but that's what I'm saying is I love doing that. It's like watching porn while having sex. It is awesome.
Yeah. Because when you're doing one without the other, it's just sad.
When you're doing sex without porn, it's just sad.
Hey, look, don't judge me. I said what I said. Wow. And also teen movies. Any
decade?
Any of them. Go back to like The Breakfast Club, which now comes off as a little rapey, as does like 16 Candles. But
16 Candles, much more so.
But like when what's his name shoves his head between the girl's legs, you know, like yeah, you know, like that's a little. Okay. Nowadays that shit wouldn't fly, but like so that stuff like I watch sometimes, but there was so many just teen movies that I watched in the 80s, but for the most part, it's like the 90s ones that I'm obsessed with. 10 Things I Hate About You, Can't Hardly Wait. What's the other one? She's All That. Yeah, like any of those, I will just watch on repeat. It's just the or even
what were we talking about? The other Never Been Kissed.
Never Been Kissed. That was another one.
They
Like,
would not
I
fly
just-
now.
No, absolutely not.
Nope.
No, you can't say "See you around the cell block, Mrs. Robinson." Like you can't say that shit while you're dating a teenager under the guise of also being a teenager. That shit is illegal.
Yeah. Drew Barrymore, you guys, you and David Arquette kind of squeaked that one under the radar. Then.
Yeah. David Arquette makes me think of another guilty pleasure, like the Scream movies.
All of them except Scream 4.
I don't even know. That was the one with Patrick Dempsey, or was that Scream 3? I think that was 3.
That was
I don't
Scream
think I
3.
saw 4. I don't know if
It was a modern one that came out.
Yeah.
And it like nobody except for the.
Was Neve Campbell in that one too?
She was, but briefly.
Okay.
She was like the aunt, and it was like her niece that was the killer.
Oh yeah, no, I never saw that. Oh wait, no, I did see that, but I only sort of half watched it.
And what it was basically they tried to take modern time now high school and redo the
Right, because
Scream
didn't
movie.
somebody have like a they were doing like a vlog, or they like somebody always had a video camera.
The
in that one.
bitchy friend that was like a horror movie, like knew everything, and you
Yeah.
thought she was the killer the whole time. Ends up getting killed, and she wasn't the killer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was this whole thing. Kind of find out it was her niece the whole time.
Right. But I will say that the Scream, the television show, actually was pretty good too. And then they just really abruptly ended it, and they like made the last one like a movie. But the last 2-hour movie seemed to have literally nothing to do with the rest of the show. And I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? So I will say that I really did enjoy kind of the Scream television show. I also like anything supernatural driven. Any television show supernatural driven.
I really like X-Files.
I love the X-Files. I was obsessed with the X-Files. I loved the new version of the X-Files. I was one of 3 people actually watching them. But I just got so tired of the fucking alien shit. Like, it just kept getting, like, you want to talk about just fucking beleaguering the point. Like, get to it already. Like, after season 4, we stopped getting the Monster of the Week stuff, which I fucking loved. And it just became just aliens all the time. And it's like, I want the supernatural stuff and the aliens. I don't want just aliens, because aliens don't interest me. Though I will say, the new Roswell fucking show, awesome. Amazing, excellent, 10 out of 10, love it, love everything about it. But, in general, aliens, not interesting to me. Fox Mulder, interesting to me. Fucking Gillian Anderson, she's fucking smoke show, interesting. But, like, the whole, that, and the fucking never letting them hook up on screen, and then, like, just, like, throwing
Casually
in this...
downplay the, I'm preggers.
Yeah. I was like, oh, surprise, the baby's his. Really, bitch? When did that fucking happen?
Were you just gonna gloss over that?
Yeah. We've been sitting around here waiting for fucking 7 years for you guys to fucking... a kiss! Something!
We've been waiting for 90s tasteful side butt cheek from Mulder as he's on top.
Yes! Yes! Like, even the sad fucking sex scenes we got back then would have been preferable to the, like, oh yeah, by the way, they fucked at some point and now she's knocked up and he's the dad. How dare you? Like, fucking how dare you?
I wanted to see a PG-13 no nudity shown sex scene with Mulder and Scully.
Just
where it just
something.
keeps panning over the room and there's a dim light and then it's done.
Just a kiss. Like, fucking let them kiss. Like, come on.
I always like that with Denotso and Ziva.
Yeah, that just, again, that's another thing. You can't drag this shit on for too long.
And then give us a quick little kiss on a tarmac in Israel, and then they both go their separate ways. Like, no. That's not what I want.
Yeah,
no.
how dare you?
Fuck you guys.
How dare
The guy
you?
that plays Gibbs, $1.2 million an episode.
Well, I mean, it's Mark fucking Harmon. Guy's been making movies for 40 years. And married to the same woman also for about 40 years. Therefore, he deserves $1.2 million for winning the Hollywood marriage lottery. Because nobody stays married in Hollywood.
The 2 longest running couples was David Bowie and his wife. And unfortunately, I guess they recently, but Rhea Perlman and
Yeah, they're
Danny
divorced
DeVito.
now.
Yeah, I heard.
No, but I think Mark Harmon and his wife are still married, and she's famous too. Well, famous, 70s famous. I don't think she's famous now. But in the 70s, when they married. What the hell was that?
I think he's dreaming.
Aww.
Oh man, all these kids are so stinking cute right
My
now.
dogs are my guilty pleasure. They're so cute. Stare at them and make silly faces and just tell them they're so cute.
Okay.
Like that.
Fucking. Alright.
Okay, you fucking creeper. Now who's just automatically going to a weird place? You can't see it, but he's giving me the fucking weirdest look right now. You are more handsy with my dog than I am. You just grabbed your dog by the dick to fucking tell him not to go anywhere.
I had to get his attention to tell him not to run out the door.
Yeah, you didn't see it. Your fucking husband grabbed your dog by the dick, and I said, "Are you holding your dog by the dick?" And he said, "I am. It's too late now." And then he just stood there holding him.
Listen.
I was like, no means no, raper. Like, let your fucking dog go.
It didn't play out 100% like that.
It certainly did.
I scooped under his legs to like grab him by the whole back end of him to keep him from jumping off the couch, and his dick was in that package.
The package you're referring
His
to.
dick was that.
Exactly was Zach cupping his dick like
I was
full cuppage.
cupping his dick. Martina's taking some artistic license with that. Look at the dog.
Lavia's like, "Oh no, it happened." Look how ashamed he is.
Hashtag, that's just his face.
Hashtag that's just his face. No, hashtag that's just his dick.
I was gonna say hashtag shook, but it's just his face. Oh man! All right,
So what's your guilty pleasure like TV shows? Or did we talk about that?
We just
already?
I was keeping pace with you in that one. Hey, curtains. What's your guilty pleasures?
I'm not guilty about anything.
You can't say that. I said that, so I had to say mine anyway. Like
No,
Like shows?
yeah, or anything, just like stuff that you were just like, yeah, it might not be in like highbrow, but I like it anyway.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with pretty much everything you said, Martina.
Because we're basically the same person.
Yeah, I mean, we have this hive mind thing going.
It's true.
So, I mean, I do really dig all the teen shows and
Why? But I do. I just do.
yeah, I'm not really into the porny books.
Are there any soapy like drama type stuff that you like? Because I have to say that show, The Royals.
Honestly, I think a lot of the teen, like Gossip Girl, that's pretty
Gossip
soapy.
Girl was soapy, and
Was
but
pretty
The Royals
soapy, but
was soapy too, and it's a British show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you haven't seen it because it's a British show, but
Yeah.
it is on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend it. But
Maybe I
like,
will.
it's just one of those things where it's like it's so unrealistic and just would never in a bajillion years happen, but still, like.
I need to fix the stand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much right there with you on that. I'll watch, the teen shows, and I read a lot of YA. I used to read a lot more YA than I do now.
Yeah, it's hard to read.
It's hard to enjoy it now.
Yeah. Well, the problem with writing is that there has to be like it's almost like we're taught, like the 3-part act. And like,
Well, and you know what's so stupid about, no offense, you know what's so stupid about authors?
Wow.
Is that,
you know why you guys are stupid? No
The
offense,
last
but
time
listen.
we asked your goddamn opinion.
no, this
She's like, this is what you get for putting a microphone in my face, bitch.
Right?
Speaking of hive mind.
No, but you all, as a group, are very, very hard on yourself about all sorts of things. The way that you write the sentence, you want it to be like this, you need, don't use those words. Those are not strong enough words. Use these words. These are better. And let me tell you, I am an educated human being.
Sorry.
God damn.
Sorry, your husband's coughing up a hairball and I
No,
can't
those
fucking
are sneezes.
concentrate.
That was,
Sure it is.
That's how I sneeze.
He sneezes in threes. And if you say bless you before the third sneeze, he won't get the third sneeze out and
And then
he'll
he
be
gets
very
mad.
angry
Yeah.
at you.
Who doesn't?
everybody else in the
Killed sneezes do make me angry, though.
That's what I'm saying.
But as somebody before we got into this world, I enjoyed reading a lot more, and the reason is because I did not know all of those things. And let me tell you, as a reader, as somebody who has been a reader my whole life, as somebody who's gone to college, who has several different degrees,
we get it. You vape.
I'm fairly educated, right? But at the same
Overly
time,
educated, some might say.
I would get a book, an ebook or whatever, and I wouldn't know that this sentence could be stronger, this sentence could be better, and I would enjoy it because it's a great story. And like you said about Twilight, it's maybe not great writing, but you know what? You enjoy it.
But it is and then doesn't that make it great writing?
And then that makes it great. But then as
it might not be
authors,
literary, but it's a great book.
As authors, you're like, no, this is trash. This sentence is trash. You're trash. Everything's trash. And then you start to hear it, and then you start to see it, and then it makes reading really unenjoyable.
Right. Well, when I started putting my books through like Pro Writing Aid, and the first thing it does is it points out every ly word, every run-on sentence, every overused word,
who the fuck cares whether you use those words?
Like
Who
now,
cares?
I just can't stop seeing it.
Right.
Like now,
Well,
when I read, it's always like a voice in the back of my head that's just like, nope, you're using that. Nope, don't use that word.
Right.
Nope,
and
don't do that.
I do that every time I read Zach's work too. I'm like, nope. But at the same time, it's like split brain. Like the one half of my brain is going, no, you can't use this word. This is a weak sentence. This is a passive sentence. This is, whatever. And it's like, but then the other half of me is going, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a single solitary fuck.
Well,
what
my
your
whole thing,
sentences are.
and this is where I have the problem, is that, like, when I spot a pattern,
if it's so obvious that like, for example, Zach likes to use the word massive. In fact, he's probably used it during this podcast many times, and in fact, now you're never gonna not hear him say it. And I'm saying that
like
because
nipples.
somebody else has to listen to my pain, feel my pain, because he uses the word massive a lot in his writing too. And so once I know, and that was one of those situations where
it becomes a trigger where your eye almost twitches.
That was one of those situations where I noticed it before without anybody pointing it out.
I do it too, but I have words that I have to search for because they're a crutch for me.
Exactly, and
like starting my dialogue with the word so, because I use because I say
so.
I talk like that. So of course, like
your characters
perfect example. Right. My characters do too. So like that's one of the things I have to do. I have to go and search for the word so, and then look at it and be like, okay, there's no reason this should have 974 dialogues starting with the word so.
Yeah. And I think all authors have those. But you know what? Like, if it's not something that is so obvious that 90% of your readers are going to notice it. If it's not something
But we forget, though, because we become so obsessed with putting out a perfect book.
You're not going to ever have a perfect book.
But we also, like, we do so much research about what makes, like, good writing. And it's like,
and then readers hate it.
Right. So it's a matter of trying to find that
point?
Balance.
Right. What's the point? If look,
but I also get really envious of other people's writing.
Oh yeah,
which is another reason why I don't really read YA anymore, because like some people are such good writers that it makes me feel like a worse writer.
Of course,
but
there's always going to be people that.
Well, even writing male romance, right? So I have my idols that I just absolutely adore their work, like my friend Lynn, who's alpha reading for me. So every chapter she reads after me and is like, if I need to make improvements or if I did something that I think could be stronger, she'll tell me. But like, I have to remind myself constantly, like, don't try to write like Lynn. You have to write like you.
Well, and that's something that your readers will notice. Like, they like you.
Right.
For you. It's like, for example, in life.
Okay, Darth Vader, calm down.
You're married. You could always be prettier. You could always be thinner. You could always be bigger if you feel like you're too thin. You could always have.
Going with this?
No. I was getting ready to say.
You
want to get to the point on that one?
Yeah, everybody is so critical of themselves, but you know what? Your partner loves you for you, and they don't want you to be thinner. They don't want you to be prettier.
Swear to
they don't want
God,
you to be
she is saying this, but when I try to use this on her later, she's gonna call me a liar, not listen to me.
Well, that's because you're different.
Her a fat funky
you call
squirrel.
me a fat funky squirrel. you clearly have some issues there. So, but it's like that with your writing too. You know, if
You called somebody fat funky squirrel in their writing? Oh shit.
Who's calling you?
How was
Here, I'll answer that.
how was your what do you mean you're gonna freaking
no,
answer it?
no. Now I don't even remember what I was saying.
Fat funky squirrel. Go.
Yes.
But
Your writing. You said it's
That's-
even
you know-
that in your writing.
But that's the thing. It's like there's so many authors out there that we all criticize, right? You know, there's so many authors out. But you know what? And you always say it every time. Oh, they don't care. They're fanning themselves with their $100 bills.
Right.
Well, you know what? That's because nobody really cares. Really, nobody. The only people that care are authors.
Yeah. Well, because it's an ego thing.
It is an ego.
Because for every 25 5-star or 4-star reviews, there's one 1-star review that somehow just absolutely finds the one thing that you're insecure about, and it just hones in and just digs that fucking knife in your back, and you're just like, you're right, I am a shitty writer.
You know, and I'll say the same thing I tell Zach every single time that he says that. It's like, go to J.K. Rowling, go to Stephen King.
And that's what I do.
And look at their 1-star reviews.
Yes.
Okay, guess what? There's always going to be people that are going to hate everybody.
I
They're
know.
going to hate
it's
you.
just easier to
And then
tell that
there's-
to other people than it is to believe it yourself.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, if I were a writer, I'd probably have an issue.
I
with
love
it
this.
too.
It's like we're having like therapy session with Layla
Therapy
as our
corner.
therapist. It's therapy corner. We went from guilty pleasures to just why we're guilty.
Aw, but you're not.
We
You're
have a
all
lot of-
wonderful.
That's our real guilty pleasure, is just self-emulation. We just sit here and tell everybody why we suck. People are like, you're an amazing writer. No, I'm not, and here's why.
Here's
Shut
my
up.
long list of reasons why. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. You guys are the only ones that care. Your readers, they don't know. They don't know the difference.
Yeah, they really don't seem to care.
And even when they do know the difference, they don't really care. They want a good story. They want something that's going to pull them out of their life, transport them to another world, go on a cool adventure. They really don't give a fuck how that sentence is put together, as long as that sentence gets them from point A to point B.
And I know I read so fast that a lot of times I don't like even think necessarily about like the sentence structure of other people's stories. I'm just
Right,
like,
you never
oh my
think
God,
about it.
I just want to get
Well,
like what
and
happens
that's
next?
not
What
to
happens
say-
next?
That's not to say throw the
Well,
rule
no,
book
because
out the
if
window
it's
and not
poorly
give a
written,
fuck.
it'll drag me out of the story. But it would have to
that
be
means
like
you don't need to
written in
hound
such a
your-
way that it would be like abnormal,
Right.
to where you're like,
But
what?
but it means don't hound yourself over painstakingly. And I've seen both of you do it. One sentence or one paragraph, stare at it and rewrite it, and rewrite it and rewrite it, and it's like, stop.
we
It's
can't stop.
okay. It's gonna be okay.
We can't. We won't. We don't stop.
No one's gonna. Where's Zach when you need him?
I know. Fucking around on his phone, leaving you
as
to hang in the
usual.
wind.
As usual, carrying the podcast.
This fucking Layla's twisting in the wind, like
Well, no,
tap dancing as fast as she
She
can.
has the
over
mic
there.
and it's away from my face, and as we know with my mic, I can't do shit.
Yes, and so instead he completely disconnects entirely from the podcast, and eventually
That
goes
is-
to his phone, his own podcast.
It's not my podcast.
I'm not disconnecting from shit.
Oh,
She
really?
has the phone.
So you're looking at something podcast related?
Yeah.
Because it looks a lot like you're looking at weapons.
Yeah, this is related to this conversation, trust me.
Because you want to kill yourself?
No.
Your guilty pleasure is guns
Yeah.
and masturbating with them?
Why would you? Now he's gonna talk about guns.
Because
for
he
20
likes
fucking
guns so
minutes.
much, he carries one in a purse.
My guilty pleasure is making fun of my husband's purse.
I mean, I don't feel guilty about that shit at all. Not even a little.
Oh, you want your mic back? Or you
Pillow
want me to
Princess
keep talking?
Power Bottom.
Oh, honey.
Oh, please, don't fall
Look
for
at
that
you.
fucking bottom lip thing.
Oh.
If he really felt bad about it, he'd put his purse away.
It is a way. It's not even in here. Charlie, make me feel
Oh,
better.
poor baby.
Don't grab my dog's dick.
Yeah, please don't grab anybody's dick.
Too late. Levi's already traumatized.
That's another life lesson. Don't go around grabbing people's dicks.
Yeah, I think that is just a good life lesson. Rule of thumb. Never grab another person's dick without permission. Consent is important. Not only that, it's essential for keeping out of prison.
And then, once in prison, people can grab your dick.
Yes, without your consent. Sometimes even the guards.
Wait, they grab the guard's dick, or the guards grab you?
Yes. And let's not forget the squat and cough.
My cough would just be my Al Pacino. Squat and cough. Okay.
All right.
Hurrah!
And then they're just like, sir, please stop doing that.
Okay. Hurrah!
Then he transitions from Al Pacino to Little John.
What? So did our children's on the social media come back with any guilty pleasures? I'm guessing they came back with books because they're at least trying to stay on subject.
Ha ha ha, the joke's on them. Here we go.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario?
Not Molly.
Molly.
Nope, Molly, not Molly. Mallory says,
Are you gonna get there? Or...
You want to fucking read this shit? No, you don't. So shut the figgity fuck up.
Figgity fuck yourself before you fuck yourself.
I bought my Kindle specifically to read 50 Shades in public. Moving on.
Wow, that says a lot.
Sarah says, probably my dragon shifter books. I mean, really, what adult wants to be seen in public reading about dragons? All of them.
Okay, so out of these two right now, they both mentioned reading in public. Have you seen that guy that custom prints those fucking book covers and reads them on the subway?
Yes.
Those are so good.
A random anonymous person said, I don't believe in guilty pleasures. If you enjoy reading something, there shouldn't be guilt.
Says anonymous.
There's literally no name attached to it.
Whoa.
Okay, this other one is also anonymous. I don't know why, unless they just forgot to put the names, but that doesn't seem like, because there's other people with their names on it. If I had to say something I read and enjoy that is typically considered a guilty pleasure, it'd be Twilight. The books have never been bad aside from Sparkling Vamps. It's the movies that ruined them. Word. And other lesser known / liked YA paranormal. Hush Hush, Fallen, Generation Dead. Hush Hush and Fallen are actually huge book series, as far as I know, even though, again, they've really kind of...
Your dog is chewing his nails. He had the tip of his...
he cleans his nails with his teeth.
That's your dick. That's not your nails, dude. Quit.
Okay, well, he didn't say he was chewing his nails. You did.
He was chewing
He's moved on. He was grooming. Nails are clean. Moving on to the dick. Well, don't be mad because my dog's hygienic. He's getting it cleaned up so you can grab it later.
Wow. It's important to clean your nails before you clean your genitals.
Rebecca, my friend, who's also another one of my alpha readers, says, I read really racy smut. You go, girl.
Swear to God, I thought she was like, I read really racist smut.
Now, racist smut, you should definitely feel guilty about.
Shame. For
shame. That nun behind Cersei Lannister with the bell. Shame. Let's see. I read really racy smut, especially rom-coms, historicals, female, male, and reverse harem. But only on my computer or paperback when I find them. As opposed to where? My Amazon account is also on my kids' Kindle's account. So not there. And any books I buy usually show up on their devices too. I know I can turn off Whisper Sync, but then I wouldn't get automatic downloads. Fair.
Priorities.
My 7-year-old can read and comprehend middle grade books, so I'd die if she read my saucy stuff. As somebody who had their 11-year-old read something that was saved on a share drive that was very much not age appropriate, that it turned out I wrote and didn't just download. it took a full 10 years for me to be able to write any kind of sex scene because I was the traumatized one when I realized that I had basically just allowed my child access to something that was just... And it was just badly written on top of everything else, so...
She was 11. She probably didn't know.
Nope, but then I accidentally outed myself. Like, I didn't know you would read that. I'm sorry, I saved it. And she's like, wait, you wrote that? God damn it. Nope. No, I didn't. And now my child's a weirdo. Let's see. I also don't like people to know I read romance because they might get the impression that I'm warm and fuzzy. I like my reputation as a frosty bitch. Zach, did you write that? CJ Rutherford, my own books. They're crap.
I get that. I too
you
think
crack
myself is
me
crap.
up. CJ, you're hilarious. Tanya said the Twilight series with the crying emoji. Laughing crying emoji. And also Jennifer said the Twilight series. I read it on snow days or if I'm sick and don't have the capacity to think straight. Sorry. I don't know why I find that funny. Jane says, can I just say I fucking love how many people listed Twilight as they're embarrassed to be seen reading this
What
book.
did I say before we started
LMAO.
even getting to their reads? Their suggestion is people say fucking Twilight.
Kat says, used to be cozy mysteries because they're kind of silly and not what I would normally read. But now I've decided I love them, so I don't give a fuck what people think. Or, you go, girl. I always, like, when I was younger, I would read, my mom was a big fan of, like, the cat who, blah, blah, blah. It was, like, these cozy mysteries that was always about, like, the cat who did this, the cat who killed the canary, the cat who did this. And she fucking loved those books, and they were very cozy mystery type books. And I think my mom just read such fucked up, like, murder mysteries and crime stuff that every now and again she just needed to give her, like, brain a break, but she still loved, like, mystery stuff. So she just had to, like, do, like, a cleanse of all the horrible shit that she read. So she would read these, like, little cozy mysteries that were just easy. I like cozy witch books. Like the when I was, like, in my early 20s, I liked those where they weren't hardcore paranormal. They were just sort of, like, cute paranormal, like, where she would fall in love with a guy, and then, you know, it was, like, kind of like practical magic type stuff. Did you just orgasm?
Yes, it's a good new movie. I love that movie.
I fucking love that movie too.
I think we all want that fucking house.
Yeah, except it's not a real house.
I stop ruining shit.
It's not a real house. It doesn't exist. I
know.
Looked. I tried to buy it. I tried to buy it. It's not a real house. I'm sorry.
We could buy
just buy an empty lot and make them build the house.
We could buy the house that the minister lived in from the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would burn that house down. They're like, oh, it's a landmark. It's a horrible fucking landmark and should be burnt to the ground.
Not only that, it had like 3 rooms. It's just like a giant room and then a bedroom and then like...
With a secret passageway in the master bedroom to the kid's bedroom through the wall. Like, it was a narrow-ass hallway that they showed us. And it was specifically built to connect the parents' room to the kids' room.
Well, that's not fucking creepy at all.
Yeah.
I think I saw that movie too.
Right? It's called Flowers in the Attic.
The Bell Witch. Fucking creepy.
The Baba Yaga.
Okay, I think we've beaten this fucking topic to death too.
Alright, Martina, hit him with some social medias.
God damn you, fucking Zachary Chopchinsky.
I get that a lot.
Facebook.com/Books and Bullshit podcast? Or just Books and Bullshit? God damn it, why can't I remember?
Oh.
I think it's Books and Bullshit podcast. Okay. And then Instagram.com/Books and BS podcast. And then here we go. Fucking pray for me. www.twitter.com/Books and BS P1? Or Books Bullshit P1? Books Bullshit P1. Fucking fuck me. Okay. Books
And
Bullshit P1. And
you can hit up our Patreon, y'all. So we got multiple tiers now, all the way up to a $10 one for those of you that ball outrageous and want all the good shit. So we now have where I'm reading the most horrible porn ever, which we're going to start after we get off of this, I'm going to record a couple of those.
We're going to get off of this, and then he's going to get on that.
Yeah, right. We have different tiers, so you can get our sound checks that we do, which talks about kind of random shit. We have another tier where I basically read the most raunchy I try to read the most raunchy fan fiction we can come up with here. And also a new one that we're doing where you guys submit your stories to us. Submit us kind of your funny, your quippy kind of your stories that you want us to tell. Now, there's a couple things with that. One, do not send us depressing ass shit because we're going to make fun of it.
Send us depressing ass shit if you want us to make fun of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally,
or if it's one of those, you have a depressing ass story and you need to laugh about it. If you're fine with
people who laugh at funerals, then send us your depressing shit because we're those people.
Sorry, we kind of might have done that one in a previous one. Also, if you want to send us stories, we're going to read the story as you sent it to us. So if you don't want us to say the names, either change the fucking names in there or say at the top in all caps, do not read names. Although, I'm going to tell you this, I can tell everybody, if you don't want me to read the fucking names, then don't put the real names in there, because why are you going to put a name in there that I'm not going to read in the first fucking place?
What you should do is just let us know if you wish to remain anonymous because you wrote it. And if you want to add that to the tagline itself as far as the subject line, so that Zach isn't like, oh, so Martina sent us, oh, you didn't want us to read that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we don't read these before we read, like, we don't read them
No, we read them live.
Yeah, so.
And that's the fun part of it, because you're getting real live reactions to your story.
We have absolutely no idea what's coming.
Yeah, so
Literally.
Just keep that in mind, but go check out our Patreon. We also have some limited swag for some of our Patreon people. If you go there and check it out, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Zach is literally like this is like the part of the church where they take the cool hipster pastor and they're like, go out there and like hit them up and try to get them to tithe 10% of their income. Go.
Pass that bowl around, motherfucker. All right, guys. So anyway, this is me. That's Martina, and I think we're out.
Peace.
Deuces.